created a live here on Insta, but actually anywhere, because I've been deeply immersed in running the Embodied Business Leadership Summit, which ended this Sunday. We crossed over 1,000 people in the end. So, so cool. And I want to share with you some of my learnings that I think will be super relevant and beneficial if you're a business owner, of how to create something of value with real impact in a way that is sustainable. It doesn't burn you out. And if you're hopping in here, feel free to ask specific questions and I'm happy to share. Yeah, anything around the summit that would be helpful for you to hear for your own journey. So one thing that I want to share is that in preparing the summit, and I want to start with saying creating an online summit is a shitload of work. My goodness, like I worked on this for 3 months as like pretty much my full focus. Like obviously I was doing other things at the same time, but it was a big focus in my life. And here we are. 1,000 people went through the summit. We had 23 speakers, such incredible people coming together, both the participants but also the speakers. And 2 times in the summit preparation, I was going through a phase or like a day or two where I was like, this could be a real failure. Like there was somewhere at around 2 weeks before the summit started, we had maybe 60 people registered and none of the speakers had started promoting the summit. And I was like, okay, well, maybe none of the speakers will promote. And it was such a powerful experience to allow myself to go through the wave of what that brought up without believing like, oh, that's how it's going to be, but just being like, whoa, that's moving through me. And so then when registration started taking off, I could appreciate it from a different place. Like I was at peace acknowledging that, yeah, maybe the summit will fail. Maybe not even 100 people will sign up. And instead of going into full panic mode or telling myself it's impossible that that's going to happen, just being with that possibility without making it me like, yeah, that's exactly how it's going to be. I felt like I was able to go with the success of the summit in a more peaceful way, because it was like I had made peace with the possibility of it not taking off. And then there was another wave like that, where I think the summit was at like 400 signups, something like this, and nothing much was happening. Like it was maybe like 10 new people coming in on a daily basis, and I was like, okay, like maybe it's going to be a 400, 500 person summit, and that would not have been like a complete failure, but given the work that I had put in, it would have felt disappointing. And also there, like allowing myself to be with that possibility, yeah, and maybe that's the case. And to give you a little bit of background, like my vision for the summit was like, my vision was to have like a 3,000 to 5,000 attendee summit. That was like what I was oriented towards internally. So when we ended up at about 1,000, there was like a part of disappointment in there. And I could meet that. I was like, yeah, I was hoping for more. But then it was also so fascinating to be like, the number was just something in my mind. Like I just had this and in my body of like, yeah, that would feel exciting. And then I measured the reality of, whoa, 1,000 people registered against that vision. And in my mind, it was like, oh, well, I didn't meet the goal that I had. And then again, meeting all the layers that come to the surface with that, and then coming back to the place of just deepest appreciation of, my God, over 1,000 people registered for this thing. I 4x'd my email list in a couple of weeks, just acknowledging like the immense richness of that, while at the same time being with, yeah, I had a bigger vision for this, and that's okay. Like, it doesn't have to mean that this is a failure and something went completely wrong. And then one other piece that I want to share with you that was a real learning ground for me was speaker communication, because with an online summit, whether a lot of people register or not depends to a big part whether the speakers are actually willing to promote the summit. And it touched interesting places inside of me where I was like, they had all in general agreed to support the summit, but not like in very specific ways. So that could mean a lot of things. That could be like theoretically like telling a friend, hey, I'm running a summit, or it's like emailing your full list 3 times, which a couple of speakers did. And it was such a powerful learning place for me to stay in a place of being proactive in my communication and encouraging speakers to share, understanding that while for me the summit is like the number one thing, is like all I'm thinking about, and for them it's like, they have 20 things like this on their plate, so it's not top of mind. So helping them remember, oh, there's the summit, and yes, I agree to support it, while at the same time coming from a place of spaciousness, like not being interested in pressuring anyone to do something that they don't want to do. Like, that was not my intention. I just wanted to remind the speakers that is happening, and so on and so forth. And so what a cool place to practice staying proactive while being in this surrendered place of, I am not in control of how much the speakers will actually promote the summit. I can send them a lot of messages, I can encourage them, but ultimately it's not in my power. And there were such beautiful mirrors there for the entrepreneurial path, and also for the spiritual journey in general. It's like, there's always something that we can do, whether it's like actually taking action or changing our internal state. But there are also parts that are just never fully in our control. And if I can meet that reality, not as a like, oh my God, I'm completely powerless, but like, here are things in my power and here are things outside of my power. That's where true co-creation with life actually starts happening. And that's what I experienced through the course of the summit. And some of the speakers who supported the summit, like, they supported it full on. And there were speakers where like 150 to 250 people came through one single speaker, which is crazy. And then there were other speakers who, for whatever reason, did less. And again, not fully in my control. I'm sure I could have done things better, but that's how things were. And then also throughout the summit, so many different waves coming in of, receiving an incredibly beautiful feedback for a session that I hosted, or for how people feel the summit is affecting them. And then having a day of barely getting any feedback, even though there's 1,000 people registered, and just being with all of this, with space, with presence, without making anything turn into a huge story, but also not like pretending something is not there. And now, on the other side, I think what feels most powerful, besides like the hard facts of like, okay, 1,000 people registered for this. I went from an email list of about 300 people to 1,200 people. In this time, I've grown my Instagram online presence from like a couple of hundred people to over 2,000. So these hard facts, I think the coolest thing that stays for me is like, oh, cool. I'm someone who can hold a summit with 23 insanely amazing speakers and 1,000 people registering. And how fucking cool is that? Like, this is so important when it comes to you living the vision that you have for your life, is you have to have the capacity to actually hold it. Like, if you have some sort of income goal of, I don't know, let's say you want to have 50,000 euros per month, are you someone who can actually hold that? Do you have the energetic capacity to be with that? And same with the summit. Like, do I have the energetic capacity to hold 1,000 people registering? Or does it completely overwhelm me and shake me to the ground and I'm too overwhelmed because I cannot hold it? So that for me is one of the most powerful takeaways from the summit, or like how I've grown from the process of it. And of course, how fucking amazing to meet so many people who resonate with the term embodied business leadership. What if power and love stop being opposites? So those were some of my takeaways from the summit. If you were at the summit and you want to share anything of what you learned, I mean, there were such incredible presentations there. Do let me know in the chat, in the comments. And if you have any questions that you're curious to hear my thoughts on from running this summit, then feel free to put it in the comments and I'll be happy to respond to them. And as a last thing, something that I'm preparing that might be relevant for you is in 10 days, I'm hosting a masterclass where I will talk about the 4 pillars that I see being required to run a business that thrives and that is an expression of who you are. So we'll go into those 4 different pillars. To give you a little teaser, first one is the overflow leader. So how can I operate from a place where I'm giving generously without depleting myself? The second is the business architect. And this is all about creating scalable structures, creating offers where you stop being paid for the hour, but you're being paid for the transformation that you provide, and you learn to communicate those things clearly, and how you show up in your marketing just becomes super clear in your messaging. Then we have operating from highest vision, which is connecting to the visions that live deep inside of you and embodying that place energetically where those things have already come true. Like they're already here and you're just like the material world just has to catch up. And the fourth one is the wealthy leader, which is clarifying your relationship to wealth, success, and visibility so that money can become a super natural byproduct of you serving and showing up for the people you're meant to support, and money comes if we're willing to clean up our relationship with those things. So those are the 4 pillars of a thriving business from within. I'm going to talk about all 4 of those in an upcoming masterclass. If you're interested in that, you can drop the word pillars in the comments and I'll send you the details. It's going to be a super powerful guided experience where you're going to see where you're at with those 4 different pillars and what is next. And for those who are ready, I'm also going to share an invitation to work deeper with me. So yeah, drop the word pillar below if you want the details to that. And with that being said, appreciate you being here. Appreciate you watching till the end. Sending you so much love and talk to you soon.